hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, hola, ciao. I can't think of any more. Buenos dias, buenos tardes. You can tell what foreign language I've taken, kind of, if you can. But anyway, my name is Cassandra Luchkowski. I am going to do the question about why people think that GMOs are bad without actually knowing what they are. And I thought I would do this question because last week when I had to interview people, a lot of times the people that didn't really know what they were just assumed that they were bad just because of what they actually mean after I told them the genetic modified organisms. So they just assumed everything was bad about them just because they're genetically modified. And I think that is kind of interesting. So I did some research about why people think that they are bad. And so before I start, I just wanted to say the other reason why I wanted to do this was because I'm a poli-sci major. And so, this is honestly a trend that when people don't actually know what it is, they just assume it's bad. It's basically the format of politics today, for being honest. And even like vaccines, nuclear powers, fluoride in water, or honestly anything that could possibly, that people don't automatically know what they are. They just assume it's bad because of Facebook. Facebook is a killer, so yeah. But here's some other reasons why that people think that GMOs are bad without actually knowing what they are. So let's get into it. Again, so the obvious one is that people fear what they don't understand. This is a major issue. Obviously, we all are aware that GMOs and the science behind them is complicated, and it honestly takes a while to explain to people how genetic engineering is actually done and how it works. So people that don't have the basic knowledge of science obviously are going to say that they're bad just because it's too complicated for them to know. And yeah. Okay, so the next thing is that people think GMOs are unnatural, and that people don't like the idea of researchers moving one gene of an organism to another species, and they think that's unnatural, even though that there's so many examples in like nature in general where this actually does happen to, and it's natural. Like there's this bacteria, the soil bacteria. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name because it's long and we don't have time for me to try to figure out, but it's a natural genetic engineer, and it inserts its own DNA into a host plant to make them more beneficial. And yeah, so it does it itself. And obviously these random people aren't going to do the research about that and learn about that there's actual plants that do it, even though scientists are doing it too. They're not going to, so they just assume that it's unnatural. Going along with what I said at the beginning, that people just don't like what they don't understand, they also make snap decisions. I definitely do make snap decisions, not about this because I've done my research, but about anything in general. And so this helps them form a belief. They may hear that there are bad things in GMOs, and organizations they think are the good guys are saying that they're bad when actually they are not, and they rather just say that GMOs are bad and just go along their days, shop in their organic grocery stores or their organic aisles, and just think that they're protecting themselves from GMOs. But I didn't know, and I'm sure they don't know, that actually there's corn. Corn doesn't actually look like that organically, and that they are GMOs. And I've never been the same since then, honestly. So now, let's talk about the corporate side of things. People don't like corporates. People love to hate corporates. It happens. It definitely does happen. And genetic engineering researchers work in corporations. They work in universities, in government labs. And it's true that most of the scientists that have done their research on GMOs and are working to improve them, or whatever you want to say, that are like working with GMOs, work in corporations. And people don't like corporations dealing with their food. even though they still do. I don't understand. But at the same time, people distrust corporations, and it's easy to paint them as a bad guy, and GMOs are made by scientists who work in corporations, so obviously they're just going to assume that GMOs are bad because of the corporations they assume are bad. There you go. Okay, so if we're going along with the business side of things, let's talk about money. Everyone wants money. Everything will say whatever they can to get money in a sort of sense, I guess. And so businesses use people's unawareness of what GMOs are to their advantage. So for an example, let's talk about corn. They will say, one business will say, my corn has no GMOs in it. You should buy my corn because that other guy's corn has so many GMOs in it, you're not even gonna recognize it. Which is true. It's basic marketing, and if you can convince customers that their competitors' products are inferior or even dangerous, you can get them to buy your own. And an example of this is the Non-GMO Project, whose logo is plastered everywhere, increasingly on products that have no GMO that was so good. This is basic marketing. If you can convince a customer that your competitors' products are inferior or even dangerous, you can get them to buy your own. And an example of this is the Non-GMO Project, whose label is plastered everywhere, increasingly on products that have no GMO equivalent or even DNA. Like, you've seen labels on salt, for example, which is a mineral, contains no more DNA than any other rock. So there you are. There's a lot of misleading information, and people will say whatever they can to make more money, and it's the same as that. They'll use anything to make more money, and GMOs aren't different than anything else. So overall, I believe that people should be able to do the research, and they should do their research about whatever topic that they want to make an opinion about. So today we're talking about GMOs. I think it's important for them to be able to make their own decision and have information to back them up on it. And so yeah, if everyone did the research on GMOs, they would come to the conclusion that GMOs are not as bad as they think that they are. So there it is. That's my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too chaotic for you. I watched some of the footage back, and I think it was, so I'm sorry in advance for that. But thank you for this class. I really did love it, and I hope nothing from the best from you in the future. So thank you.